Hey guys, it's Sinem and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. So in today's video, I am going to be doing the eyeshadow palette tag, which has been going around here on YouTube. And basically, I'm going to be talking all about my eyeshadow palettes. Now, of course, it's not going to be all of my palettes because I have a ton. If you guys haven't seen my huge palette declutter, definitely go check it out after this video. I decluttered a lot of my palettes, but I still have so many palettes. So I'm not going to be talking about, of course, all of them today, but it's going to be just a select few, and I'm going to be answering the questions from the tag. So we're just going to jump straight into it. So the first question is, what is your newest palette? And my newest palette to date, what I've bought recently, is the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. This is the newest eyeshadow palette that I own. This is what it looks like. I did a video on this. I also have a dupe video with this palette as well. So if you guys don't want to spend this much, then you can check out the dupe that I compared it to. And this is just basically a bronze palette. It's so pretty, it's beautiful, it has all these bronzy tones. It's really perfect for all year round, and I really do like the colors in this palette. I do really like it, and I am getting a lot of use out of it. I have dug into it quite a bit and I am enjoying it at the moment. So again, this is my newest palette, and there are a few questions in this tag where it kind of has the same answer. So for example, another question was the most expensive palette you own, and the most expensive palette I own is also this one, which cost me £60 or £65, and this is my most expensive palette that I own. So yes, that kind of this palette answers two of those questions already, but this is my most expensive and the newest palette I own. Then the next question is the oldest palette that I own. Now, I went through all my palettes and I went through my entire collection to see what was the oldest palette that I own. I think this is the oldest because when I checked the date, it's from 2010, so 10 years ago. This is the MAC times Hello Kitty palette. This is in Lucky Tom and it looks like this. Of course, I don't use it, it's very old, but I just keep it for collection purposes, and it's the Hello Kitty collection from MAC, so I just have to keep it. It's really cute packaging. It's super old and rare, and you know, you can't find it anymore. So this is the oldest palette that I own. So yes, 2010 MAC times Hello Kitty. Let me know, do you guys own anything from this collection? Do you remember it? I would love to know if you guys do remember it. So that is the oldest. And then the next question is the most expensive, which I've answered, and then the most affordable palette that I own. So the most affordable eyeshadow palette that I own are these little E.L.F ones. These are the E.L.F bite-size shadows. These are so great. They have a ton of shades and they only retail for £3 and $3 if you're in the US. So it's so affordable. It literally will not break the bank. You can't go wrong with it. It comes with 4 eyeshadows and they are so pigmented. They are such great quality, and it's so tiny and miniature that you can just chuck it in your purse, chuck it in a travel bag if you are traveling. So I do have 3 of the palettes and I really want to pick up all the other shades. So this one is Carnival Candy, which is this really nice neutral palette with a pop of blue. It's really pretty. And then we have Truffles, which is more of a deeper cool toned neutral palette. Has a nice taupe shade right there. And then we have my personal favorite because it's perfect for every day. This one is Cream and Sugar. And Cream and Sugar is just, again, a neutral palette, but it's a little more of those warm tones. So these are so great. They only retail, like I said, for £3, and it is the most affordable palette that I own. Then another question says, what is the smallest palette you own? And again, it's the E.L.F one. So again, that kind of answers both those questions. Smallest palette, also the E.L.F ones. They don't look as tiny on camera, but they are super small in person. They are very miniature. It's like the size of almost my finger, as you can see, and I have small hands. So I also did add 2 of my own questions towards the end of the video, so you guys will see that as well, because I feel like there weren't many questions. The next one is my everyday palette. So what do I use every single day? Now, what I use every single day, not every single day because I don't wear makeup every single day, but the palette I reach for when I want to go for an everyday look is the Tarte Tartlette In Bloom eyeshadow palette. And this I use so much. I absolutely love this palette. It is such a great everyday palette. I have used this before in my videos and I've talked about it before. It has 2 nice cream base colors that are matte, and then you have some shimmers, bronzy ones, a nice champagne-y light gold, a nice neutral color, you know, darker colors. It is just a perfect everyday palette, and this is one that I would highly recommend if you haven't tried it out before. The formula is great. I absolutely love Tarte's eyeshadows. I've only played around with a few, but I definitely do like the formula in this palette, and they are just so creamy and so smooth and blendable, and you can see the tones I think will just be perfect for a lot of people. And it's something that you will find yourself reaching for, which is what I love when I buy a palette. I want to get a lot of use out of it, and I do feel like, you know, this is one of those palettes that I definitely get a lot of use out of. So for sure, this is one of my favorite everyday palettes. I did have another one, but I'm gonna mention that in another answer. So the next one is my most colorful palette. Now, it was gonna be the Jeffree Star Jawbreaker palette, but that doesn't really have many color. I mean, it's a colorful palette, it's a very bright palette. But then I dug around into my collection and I saw this bad boy, and this is my most colorful palette. And also it answers another question again. Another question is, what's your biggest palette? This is also my biggest palette. So this is the biggest and colorful palette that I own in my collection. This is by Beauty Bay. It's their own line, and it is the Bright Matte 42 color palette. So it has 42 bright matte shadows. I know, it's insane. I think they recently changed the packaging, but it's still the same palette. This just holds every single bright color you can think of, and I absolutely love that it's matte, because a lot of bright colors tend to be shimmer, and it's very hard to find all these tones in a matte formula. So I absolutely love this palette because it is so ginormous. It is huge, and it just holds every single bright color that you can think of. And I even love that they added neutrals right at the top. Definitely check out Beauty Bay's makeup line, their own line, and I highly recommend this. I'll have everything linked down below for you guys to check it out, but it is a really, really good sturdy palette. So the next question is the best memory. So this one was very difficult for me because I have a lot of MAC palettes, like limited edition ones, which are very memorable for me because I remember being a lot younger, of course, and just buying these limited edition products, and I was so happy because I've been such a MAC limited edition collector for such a long time. So those to me will always be, you know, memorable and very close to me. But there was one that really stood out to me more than the MAC palettes, and I actually haven't even used it because I just don't want to, and that is this palette right here. So do you guys even know what this is? You probably don't. I have kept it in its packaging. I just never want to use it. It is just, I don't know, it means a lot to me. I'm not sure why, but I will let you guys know now what it is. So this is by Storybook Cosmetics. I don't even know if they make palettes anymore, but they are the brand that made the Mean Girls eyeshadow palette, and I think like Harry Potter or something. But they came out with a palette and they collaborated with Roald Dahl, and they did a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory themed eyeshadow palette. So growing up, and even to this day, my favorite film, one of my favorite films, is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Not the new one with Johnny Depp, the old one, like the old one. That is one of my favorite films, and I just was watching it every single day when I was young, like every single day, and I was just obsessed with it. And I love Roald Dahl. You know, I had all the books, and I had the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book as well by Roald Dahl, and this was it. And so when I saw the artwork and everything, it just, and it also comes with a golden ticket, I think it's inside, which is just amazing. It's just, oh my god, oh, I love it. Yeah, look, comes with the golden ticket as well. And I've always I've been obsessed with like this golden ticket since I was young. I've always wanted to like have one, and this is the colors. And of course I've never used it. I don't think I'm ever going to use it. It's probably old now, but I just absolutely love the names: Snozzberries, Willy Wonka, Veruca Salt, and Wonka Bar, golden ticket. I love it. I think it's just so cute, and they still sell it, so you guys can definitely buy it for yourself. Really great palette, and it's definitely very memorable to me because of the artwork. And I remember reading the book. I actually have the book somewhere, but yes, love it. Love it. So let me know what you guys think about it. Have you seen the film? Do you like this one, or do you like the newer one with Johnny Depp? the classic one, the original, will always be my favorite. So the next question is a eyeshadow palette that is worth the hype. Now, I couldn't think of a palette that was like super hyped up that I own. So I chose this one because it is an influencer, it's a YouTuber here on YouTube, and it is Tarte Beauty. So when this palette came out, it definitely was all the rave. Everyone was, you know, very excited for it. It had a lot of good reviews, it had good feedback, and I got it for myself and I absolutely love it to this day. I use it all the time. It's what I have on my eyes today. This is what the glitter is. It's in here. I used this one right here. That's what's on my eyes. And I did dabble into some other colors, but then I did also go in with another palette, which I'll show you later. But this, I think, is a palette that was hyped up when it first came out, that still to this day I think deserves to be hyped up, and it's one that I think is absolutely worth it. It's not too expensive, it's, you know, really reasonably priced, and it is just an overall amazing palette. The formula is out of this world. It beats Natasha Denona. I love that you have a variety of formulas and finishes, because you have a black, but then you have different versions of a black. So a black glitter, a metallic black, sequin black, and then same with the browns. You know, I love that there's a story, and I love that if you like these shades, you get it in different finishes. So I think it's a genius palette. I don't know what happened to her makeup line. I don't know if she's going to come out with more, because this is the textured neutrals volume 1 palette, so I don't know if she's going to come out with like different volumes, if it's in the works. I'm not sure. She kind of went quiet with her brand. I really hope she comes out with a new palette, and I'm going to be 100% on that. So yes, this one I think is 100% worth the money, worth the hype. I won't swatch the glitters, but I will swatch a few. So this one right there is a nice rose gold. We have a nice matte orange, a nice duochrome purple with blue. Look at that. Then a nice black with gold. It's just a really great palette overall, and I highly recommend it. So the next question is a palette that is not worth the hype. I feel like this brand is quite overrated, and especially this palette as well when it did come out, or pretty much all of her palettes I feel like are very overhyped, that aren't worth it, is Huda Beauty. So I don't know if you guys agree with me on this one, but I own a few Huda Beauty palettes and they're always just, I don't know, they're not worth the money in my opinion. I really don't like the formula that much. I did go in with a few colours today though on my eyes, just because I do need to use up some palettes. And this is the Desert Dusk palette. So this is what it looks like. It has really pretty colours, as you can see, but the formula is just not there for me. I feel like all her eyeshadows are always very dry. They're not creamy. I feel like they go on very patchy when you try to blend them, and especially when I try to blend sometimes, I feel like I lose a lot of colour and I have to keep going back in, and then it just looks like a hot mess. I don't feel like it's a palette that is worth the money in my opinion, because her palettes are very expensive. They are almost priced, I think £55 or something. It's, you know, it's a lot of money and it's definitely not worth it. You can find so much better. And this is the one that I would say definitely was a complete fail for me, is the Desert Dusk one. I know a lot of other people feel the same way. So Huda Beauty palettes overall for me are just not worth the hype and the money. The next question is a favorite palette from a favorite brand. So you guys already know my favorite brand is M.A.C, of course. And I have a few M.A.C palettes. I usually make my own palettes with the eyeshadow refills, but I do have a few of their pre-made palettes, and definitely one of my favorites from M.A.C is the Art Library palette in Flame-Boyant. This is the Flame-Boyant palette. It looks like this. It is a really nice you know, neutral but reddish sort of palette. It's very fiery. This definitely does scream autumn. I love the deep browns, the deep burgundy right there. Those are mattes. You have a nice rich matte red, a nice metallic red, and then, you know, your oranges and then lighter shades as well. So it is a really nice palette. And again, this is the Art Library in Flame-Boyant. They do have another one which I have right here, but I don't really reach for it that much. This is the It's Designer palette. As you can see, it has all these bright colors, metallics and mattes. But my favorite palette from M.A.C, from what I've tried so far, definitely would have to be this one, and it's one that I would also reach for the most anyway. So Flame-Boyant by M.A.C for sure. And then the last question is the most used palette. So the most used palette in my collection, and also one of my favorite palettes, if not my absolute favorite palette. I don't think there's any other palette that's gonna beat this one, and it is the Violet Voss Holy Grail eyeshadow palette. And I'm sure you guys have heard me rave and talk about this a lot on my channel, and you guys already know why. It's just an overall great palette. I absolutely love this one. So this to me is just a classic palette that I feel like every single person should own. If there is one palette to take away from this video, it has to be the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette, because I'm sure you're thinking you have a lot of neutral shades already, but these, I don't know why, I just feel like out of all the neutral palettes I have, I always go back to this one. And I think it's because I have an array of colors to choose from, and it's not just basic neutrals. You know, you still have oranges and cranberries and golds and bronzes and light shades. It's super creamy, and it just looks so shimmery and wet on the eyes. The mattes are really great. They perform well as well. I use this one the most because it is very versatile. It's very neutral. It's one that I can find, you know, any shade. If I want to go for a matte brown, I can find it. A light metallic bronze, light metallic pink, you know, cranberries. It's just, it has it all. So that is my most used palette to date, and it's what I've, you know, what I reach for a lot. So the next two I added myself. One that I added is an underrated palette, and a palette I didn't think I'd like, but I ended up loving. So I'll start off with the underrated palette. I've talked about this a few times already, but I'll mention it again, and it is FOCALLURE Beauty. They are a great affordable brand. They are only online. This is what it looks like. This is the Endless Possibilities palette. I've used this quite a few times on my channel, and I do love the tones. I love that it's a nice array of colors. Once again, it has, you know, a nice range of not only colors but finishes and formulas as well. You have really great metallics in this palette. That's one thing that I love, is the metallics, and they perform so well. If you haven't tried FOCALLURE Beauty, definitely check them out. I'm not going to talk too much about them, but this definitely is an underrated palette. You don't see many people talking about this brand or this palette. Again, super affordable. I have a code, I think. I'll leave it on the screen or in the description box. I think you'll get like 25% off. And the last question is a palette that I didn't think I'd like, but I ended up loving, and that is KKW Beauty. So I really didn't expect to like her palette or her eyeshadow formula, just because a lot of people online said that it wasn't all that. But you know what? I really liked it. I really liked this palette in particular. It's the one that I use the most. I have a few of her palettes. I have the Artist and Muse palette, and I also have the Mrs. West palette, which you guys know I love as well. But this one I really love. This is the classic palette, and I just love the shades. I love the formula. Like, there's nothing bad to say about it. And this one is the one that I really didn't expect much out of, but ended up really liking, and one that I do reach for as well. So definitely KKW Beauty does have some great products. KKW Beauty definitely is a hit or miss brand. You're not going to find everything amazing, but you're also not going to find everything that's a complete fail either, and this definitely isn't a palette that's a fail. That was pretty much everything and all the questions. Of course, I have a ton more palettes in my collection. I have so many, but these are the ones that I narrowed it down to for the answers. And let me know, do you guys own any of these palettes? So do comment down below and I will chat back with you. But I think that is it from me. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, and until next time, I'll speak to you guys all in my next video.